Welcome back. I'm probably going to make this a new video. So for this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do some custom fog lighting in your Dart. So if your car does not come equipped with the fog lights like the Rallies do, so all of the Rally Darts will come with the factory spots down here on the front bumper, and you'll have the fog lights. Now for these, I actually took both this black piece and the whole fog light housing. So you see here on the back side, this is a separate piece. I took this and the other part off of another car and I threw them onto this. Now you're gonna have to do a couple more things than just swap that over. This car is not set up with any of the wiring harness to hook a bulb up to or to get power, and it also does not have a switch for it either. So we're gonna be taking care of all of those things in that, and hopefully I can explain how to go through and set all this up so that way you know how to do this yourself in the case you did want to run some fog lights. So right down here, this is two things that I have for this setup. So what I have here is I have some really nice bulbs. These are going to be actually yellow in color, and they put off quite a few lumens. I think it's like 6,000 lumens. So these are super bright. We're gonna get these swapped out with the other bulbs that I have in there. And the size for this is going to be H11. So H11 is going to be the actual clip that your harness is going to plug into. That's the factory size for these Darts. It's the same clip as that one right there. So just make sure that you get an H11 bulb. What we have here is the wiring harness that's going to allow us to wire these in and hook these up. So this is just specifically for this car. It's just the H11 wiring harness. You can get this pretty much anywhere. I got it off of Amazon for I think 20 bucks. So we'll open this up and kind of see what's in here, and I'll explain how this works. In this kit, what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a complete wiring harness that is set up to use everything else that's installed in this kit. So we're also going to have a switch to control the fog lights, to turn them on and off from inside the car. And you're also going to get a relay. I'm gonna be changing this up a little bit. I'm gonna show you kind of real quick how this would get wired in and show you some modifications that I'm gonna be making to this. I have everything kind of spaced out right now just so we can show you everything that gets clipped in on the harness. So you're gonna have two of your harness connectors right here, and these are both gonna go into your actual fog light bulbs. These are the H11 harness connectors. So those will go into my new lights once I get those put into here. From there, you keep following the harness back. You have this connector right here, and this is set up to run the relay that comes in the box right here. So this will get hooked into that. And then from there, you're gonna have two wires that come off of it. This is gonna be your ground wire, and then you're also going to have a positive wire right here. This will go directly to your battery, and it is also fused, so there is a fuse in here in the case that something does blow. It's not going to mess up your entire circuit. You'll just have to replace your fuse right here. So after you get all those hooked up, then you're going to follow this back, and you will have your little green, this is a green little connector here. This is going to go inside of the car somewhere, and you'll have your switch to actually control the lights and turn them on and off. Since I already have a aftermarket fuse box that I installed on the car that is already hooked to a relay, I'm going to be changing up and modifying this wiring harness to my liking, so that way, so I'm not going to be using a lot of the things on here, such as the relay. I have a different switch that I'm going to be using too as well. So we're going to have to chop into this a little bit and change some things up that I'll go over once I figure out more so what I want to do with it. But for right now, let's go ahead and get these new lights in. We'll go ahead and get these connectors put in here, and that way that's one less thing to deal with. I just figured I'd take a second to show you. This is going to be the switch that I'm going to be running for this actual fog light, and that's going to be in place of this one that comes in the kit. This one's just a lot smaller, more concealed, and I have a better spot for that to put it. This just comes with a wiring harness for it right here, just a super short one that you can just tie your other wires into. And you also do get a couple instructions in this kit too. We'll try to figure out where it is that each one of these wires is going to need to go to in order for this to do what I want. And obviously, like I mentioned, we're not going to be using the relay on this, since I already do have my other fuse box right here that we're going to be using with the other relay too as well, that's hooked into a relay in here. Another thing in addition that I'm going to be doing to customize these fog lights and this lighting down here is, see this spot right here, this strip that runs along this insert. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing this, and I have another Oracle LED strip right here, and this is going to be ran in place of this part right here. This just comes right out, and this should pretty much just pop right in. We'll see how this works, but I'm really curious to install this. So since we're wiring this in, and it's going to be very similar to this, we got to route it to one over here, one over there, and we're also running it to a switch inside the cab of the car. So basically the same setup as the fog lights. These are going to be on also their own independent switch, so these are going to be separate from each other. But since we're doing them at the same time, we might as well make the wiring harness for it to keep everything nice and neat and tidy. These are the same LED strips as I did run in the headlights. The only difference is if you flip these over, they are a little bit shorter. So these are the 18-inch instead of the 24-inch. A little bit shorter, since this is only, I think this is like 11 inches here. We're not even going to use the full length of it. We will have a little bit of extra that we'll need to just route underneath this bumper and hide it in the back. And then these are only white in color. So these do not turn different color with your turn signals. These will stay a constant white. Daytime running light strips. The plan is to run these right along this strip right here. It's an awesome strip that's basically pretty much meant to run a light right here. It's definitely a great place to do it. So what we're gonna do is, in this kit that comes with these Oracle lights, is you have some mounting hardware that comes in here, and it's got some screws, and then it also has some tabs that fit onto the backside and lock in. You can see a groove here. It's got one on both sides that basically locks this in place. So for once, this hardware actually does come in handy that comes in this kit. So what we're gonna do is take a screw, take our clip, and we're going to run these all along this strip right here. You can see there is some holes in it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip every other pretty much gap here. So we'll put one of these clips right here, one of these clips right here, another one here, here, and here. As many as you can in order to fit this in here. And then this additional, because this is 18 inches long, we're not gonna be able to fit the whole thing on here. We're going to drill a hole somewhere over here in the bumper, and then we'll just go ahead and route the rest of it to hide out behind this rear bumper here. I was able to fit 5 of these clips. Both of the lights routed up in here. Both of them I have spliced together with some of these bud connectors, and everything's connected up here. So basically what I'm gonna do is tuck in these little LED strips behind the bumper back up in here. Same thing on this side, and we're gonna take this wire here. We're gonna extend it. I'm gonna have to add some more wire to it here, and we'll loop it over, and we're gonna route it basically this way. Tie this up, and we're gonna add it and incorporate it into this relay harness right here that's for the other fog lights. I'm gonna be working on doing this wiring harness up so that way I can run my fog lights the way that I want to. Accessory power wires that are gonna be going to the actual buttons in the car. That's gonna be the blue one and the yellow one. I have the two grounded. I grounded them both to the chassis. There's a spot right in down there. It's gonna be that blue bolt right there on the frame, so I have a ground going to that. And then if you'll notice here, this blue little piece right here, this is basically just a wire tap, so I have them both grounded into each other, so that way we don't have a bunch of different terminals and grounds. So you can see coming off the wire here, they're both going into each other. So other than that, this is basically set up. I'll have to wire up the switches correctly. This will basically just clip into that harness right there once I get the other ends on. We're gonna tape these in place here. That way we can go ahead and get all of our wiring routed here. We're gonna just route it on the bottom side underneath. I'll go ahead and secure everything in here as well as I can, again with the tape. I have all of my wire routed on the underside of the bumper. I just have it taped in here with just some duct tape. I did run into an issue actually on both of these LED strips. The wiring fell out of the end, and I'm gonna have to attempt to try and solder this back in here. Same thing on this other one. What I did was I cut off just a little bit of this plastic on the outside. You can see the inside has a strip on it, and on the very end of the strip you have two different little spots that the wires go onto. One's for the ground and one's for the positive, the red one. And this is very small wiring, so I'm gonna try to make an attempt to solder these back on here so we can get these back up and running. I'm just gonna take a minute so that we can go over the wiring on these switches, and I can show you how I wired these in order to allow them to work, and also how they power up the my accessory lights. So if we go ahead and start with the most basic wire here. So you're gonna start with the green wire. We're gonna do that. So obviously I have two of these since I have two switches. This is going to be the wire that you're going to hook up. This is my wire that I have hooked up to my relay box inside of the car. I'll just go show you real quick. We're gonna go out here. Okay, these are the wires that are hooked into right here. So I have two wires for it since I'm running two separate accessories. One is the white wire, and that one goes right here on the bottom left. It doesn't matter location wise. And then I also do have the other one, which is the yellow wire over here on the bottom right. So those are hooked into there. And I have some 10 amp or little 10 red fuses in there for that. And then moving on to our ground. So I have both of the grounds connected right here. I have one of them, I ran just a tap into the other wire, and so that way I could just ground one of them without having to ground two of them. I just grounded them to a spot on the chassis up there on the top right. You can see that blue terminal just bolted into some type of metal piece up there. And then we need just our accessory wires after that. So in order for these switches to work, when you click it, it will light up and turn your accessory switch on. The way that I did that, you're going to take, if you plan on doing that, your blue wire and your red wire, and you're going to connect them together. So you can see here, I have my blue and my red wire right there, and then blue and red wire right here on my other one. And so basically you're just going to twist those together, and I have them on some quick releases right here, so that way these are just easy to take on and off. And the two wires that these connect to are going to go directly to the positive accessory wire on my fog lights. So I'll show you my routing of where these go to in the engine bay for my fog lights, but nonetheless, that is pretty much about it. So green is going to go to your battery or your switch relay power source. Your black is going to go to ground, and then the blue and the red is going to go to your accessory. I'll go show you that real quick. My accessory wires, basically they're coming out here, they're funneling. I have them routed underneath here, and they go down all the way. So if we come into the side well right here, the wheel well, I have both of my accessory wires right here. I have them on some quick release clips, so it's easy to take the front bumper on and off. But that's what I have, a yellow wire and a blue wire to signify my positives for this. And then I also do have these grounded, because you do need a ground too as well. I have this grounded to a spot on the chassis that I showed you earlier. So that's pretty much my setup for in here. I'll go ahead and I'm going to turn the car on. And then we will push these buttons, and I'll show you what they do and how they operate. Now we'll turn the key on. Okay, so now we will have power to over here, but my accessory lights will not be on right now. Now if I turn this one on, so this one is going to be for my yellow bulbs. So we'll hit this, and you see it lights up, turns green, and this lets me know that my fog light bulbs are on. So now we can go up to the front of the car, and we'll go take a look just to confirm that. And we can see the fog light bulbs are on. Now we will turn this one off, click that off, and then we can try out our other one here too. So that's my yellow color one. So this is my fog light strips. Let's go check these ones. Also, these are good to go too as well. So these are functioning properly too. And these are what they both look like functioning properly. Pretty darn bright. This is daytime right now, and you can already see these very well. So I can only imagine what these are gonna do at nighttime. I'll just need to get this front bumper installed on the car once I do a couple more mods. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed the video and learned something.